The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
They hail from around the globe, and though separated by oceans, they gather in the virtual world for reasons as varied as their locales. Whether it's a defending champion looking to retain his title, a new and eager hopeful striving for recognition, or a legend prepared to recapture past glory, in the end, the one goal they all share is to win. But when naming a victor, only one driver's name can be etched into the record books. You're watching the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour.
Racing and controversy normally go hand in hand. And after last week, that would seem to be no exception. Tempers flared and battle lines were drawn, and the front of battle has changed from New York State. Because round 8 of the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour is in Lexington, Ohio, as Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course will be the next destination on the road to Interlagos. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tidal Influence Countdown to Green in a series that chucked up last week one of the most dramatic and potentially championship-deciding moves in modern MWT history. Some things, however, remain the same, as #DoYouMind Jake Sperry will be taking the play-by-play commentary. Some things also remain the same in the fact that my partner in crime, Bill Soupzahn, has already escaped from the cuffs. Amjad Yamin will be behind the cameras for this one, produced by the eloquent man known as Dougie Beard, not to be confused with the Elephant Man. But Soup, you could say that the World Tour has been around almost as long as you have, and that Mid-Ohio has almost been around as that. How are the drivers going to understand what is a difficult circuit to really negotiate and navigate?
Yeah, now the last time the MWT was here at Mid-Ohio was back in Season 12, where the Roland Estonian got the best of Sonny Ketchen, with the Slovene machine Patrick Fliss rounding out the podium. But before I talk about the track, let me remind the viewers that most everything on the Countdown to Green is brought to you thanks to the good folks at Tidal Influence, an ecological consulting firm based in Long Beach, California, that restores wetlands, saves and studies endangered species, and educates children about our environment. For more information, go to TidalInfluence.com. Now, let's talk about Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That's the official name. This place ranks among America's premier road racing facilities. The track is located just outside of the village of Lexington, Ohio. Since opening in 1962, it has been refurbished a few times. iRacing offers 3 legitimate road configurations, plus a rarely used clockwise and counterclockwise half-mile oval. Today, we are on the full 2.2-mile, 13-corner layout. There's a nice blend of fast, medium, slow-speed corners, one long straightaway, and several dynamic elevation changes. Drivers will face the daunting Turn 1, a roller coaster series of S's known as Madness, and then conclude their lap with what seems like a 360-degree carousel that offers a plethora of racing lines. But the best way to get an idea of what this place is really like is to jump on board and take a lap around.
All right, we've got Amjad Yamin in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Mid-Ohio. Coming down to turn 1, it's going to be a fairly fast left-hander. The car should be able to handle that inside curb pretty well. Just make sure not to cut too far over it and get a slowdown penalty. The main thing is to get yourself a good run off the corner, because as we climb up the hill, you're heading towards the keyhole, which is a popular place to pass. From above, this looks like a simple 180-degree corner, but from inside the car, you can see it's got a tricky crest in the middle of it. Squaring off your exit will be the order of the day, not just because of the elevation change, but also because it leads onto the backstretch, where top end will be critical. It's not totally straight here, so you'll glide it through the kink and then bring the car off to the left to set up for China Beach. This is the place where you'll probably see the most passes made, but also the most cars off into the kitty litter with the way the track dips in the braking zone. However, it can be possible to defend from the outside. The track switches back as we head into Madness, so holding your own can allow you to fight back over this very blind left-hander. But we're not done yet, and the circuit switches into yet another another right-hander before climbing into the S's. You won't see a lot of passes through here, but that doesn't mean some side-by-side action won't occur at some point. The real difficulty comes in the braking for the entry to Thunder Valley. It's curved with not a lot of runoff. Then this huge rise will make the car light right when you want to put the power down. It's not uncommon to see drivers go wide into the grass coming out of there. Now it's back uphill, and you want to hold as tight as you can to the armco to the right. This gives you the widest arc you can get through 11, where the car will really want to plow off into the weeds. Before you know it, you've got to brake for the carousel. There's a bunch of different lines you can take through here, but my preference is like Amjad does. Shallow entry, drift wide, then cut back for a good exit. From there, keep your foot down around the final left-hander and come across the line to finish your lap around Mid-Ohio.
The GSRC MX-5 there, taking a lap around the beautiful Mid-Ohio. And of course, the MX-5 is the most beautiful car in the GSRC garage. But Soup, this championship has been a roller coaster for some, a plunge into the depths of despair for others. However, for one certain individual, you are certainly seeing how this championship has been almost perfect this season.
Yep, it's been all Sonny Kenshin for season 14, and honestly, he's now deserving to be considered as a face to join Jan Koemans on the MWT Mount Rushmore. Go ahead and Google Mount Rushmore Euros. But the big news is the lack of updated point standings for today's event. And this is a result of what Jake touched upon in his opening, the word controversy. The incident review team, they've been really busy sorting through all the carnage that took place, with 3 incidents in particular that took up a lot of time. So with no points to talk about, I'll take this opportunity to give an overview of some of those incidents, mainly those 3 that we've mentioned. The first one was the big lap 2 mess. A couple cars spun, but the real damage came from drivers, most of them new to the series, who floored it through a local yellow, making contact with stopped cars and making the incident much bigger than it needed to be. And what this did, this upset all the veteran drivers who take pride in the series. It was as if their sister got a new boyfriend and he wasn't being treated by him with the respect that she deserves. They were in the mood to forum slap these new drivers until they treated the MWT with the respect it deserved. Only the knowledge that the IRT was on the case kept things from boiling over. Now, the second incident was the Marcelo Pajan and Tom Eric Ball, them coming together going down the straight. Now, responsible minds could disagree on where the fault should be placed, but one thing that everybody agreed upon was that Pajan really overreacted in the chat. Penalties might be heading his way as the Italian broke some of the guidelines for chat speak. Finally, it was the late race contact between Sonny Kenshin and the race leader Robert Hartley. Now, Kenshin claimed netcode error, more commonly known as ghost contact. The issue there is drivers all know about netcode, and maybe drivers racing in areas where netcode is an issue, maybe they need to leave a little more cushion between them and their competition in consideration of what may happen. We'll have to see how that plays out. One thing is for sure, rulings are going to be coming, but all this is healthy. This is a healthy thing. And what makes a great series? Controversy is part of racing, but how a series deals with controversy is what separates the average series from the special series. And finally, you kids get off my lawn. Back to you, Jake.
Nobody gets themselves on Soup's lawn. That's something that we do understand. And when it comes down to controversy, we've got a lot of politicians when it came out of that event. And every driver has a championship they are fighting for. And every driver knows the expectations that are put upon them. And some of those expectations are put on them, shall I say, are done by the series rules. And Soup, you know all about said rules. So for the people at home, why don't you showcase yet again what it is these rules are about?
Yeah, I can't tell you about the point standings, but I can tell you about the updated the rules here. This is round 8 of 12, and there are no drop races. I'll go through this again, though. There is something that is called no-show compensation, and that can be used 3 times. If a driver misses a race, he or she is compensated with points equal to a percentage of that driver's average finish. How about setups? Well, they're open. There's reduced fuel, so that means everyone's going to have to stop at least once. Now, what you have to keep in mind is that it's not like they start with a half-filled fuel tank. No, they start with a really small tank. I think it holds 3.6 gallons. So that means you have to drive far enough to let that tank empty before you can come in for a pit stop. So pit window usually about 1/3 of the way, somewhere in the 1/3 range. Our race distance today is, it says here 23 laps. I believe that's wrong. I think it's 28 is our number if we're going here today. We'll have to double check on that. 28, yeah. So look for the pit window if you want to break 28 into like 9 lap segments. Pit window somewhere between 9 and 18. Fast repairs, never any fast repairs in the MWT. Always you break it, you bought it. Incident cap, no incident cap, but there is a clean driver chart that they check, and you get bonus points for how you're doing on that one. We'll update you on that chart next week when they update all the points. Pretty much, so far, though, the review, it's been all Sonny Ketch. Let's see if somebody can stop him today.
We will certainly see if that happens. Qualifying then currently underway. 10 minutes, 2 laps, and everyone setting lap times. It's currently Robert Hartley on pole position as things stands, 134.063. That's faster than any of the times in practice, and 3/10 clear of Sonny Kanchin, who has also used up all of his laps. One driver who hasn't used all of his laps, though, as he heads into China Beach, is the man known as Eric Garcia. In fact, he's heading through turn 2 on the run to China Beach at turns 4, 5, and 6. And in fact, he'll back out of it and decide that his lap is all but done. So we'll keep our eyes on focus, and we'll see who's going to be out there setting lap times. And right now, there's only one driver out on a lap time, and she's looking to try and get out of 32nd. It's the 177 Machine Soup, and it's arguably one of your favorites in Sarah Dove.
Sarah Dove, we know her from the Apex Online Racing Group, where she races the Formula Renault. She's come over here. Certainly welcome to the series. She's been racing here for a few races now. She's no longer a rookie. She may still be classified as a rookie. You can see right now under those skies, it is very dark today. Usually when I get the opportunity as the sun is setting in this late afternoon, I get to say the shadows are long and thin, but there are no shadows today as the sun is masked behind the clouds. Weather, 77 degrees Fahrenheit, track temperature of just 1 degree higher than that, 78 degrees. We'll use Jake to go ahead and translate that into Celsius. Winds about 5 miles an hour from the north.
Yeah, winds very, very calm here today, despite the weather. And you could say the shadows are so long and thin that they are non-existent here at this stage of the evening. But Dove rounding herself out to the carousel and the final corner, turn 13 on circuit, crosses the line, 136 flat, has another lap to get it going. But P20, the 10th row of the grid, that's not bad for Sarah Dove. That's probably where you'd expect her to be in terms of the amateur championship battles. And talking about that, we got one inside the top 10, Gianni Quintelier, yet again with a very good qualifying on the brakes into turn number 2. Missed apex early there, but will hook it up through the exit. That was a very unconventional line there, Soup, through turn number 2 for Sarah Dove.
Yeah, if memory serves, Gianni did not have a great run last time out at Watkins Glen, but he might be the fastest of all the amateurs out there. And yeah, getting inside the top 10 in qualifying, that's quite an accomplishment. 32 drivers here today. All 32 of them were able to put in at least one clean lap. Al Heaton at the back with a 1 minute 38.7. That's compared to our pole sitter Robert Hartley with a 134 flat.
Yeah, 134 flat, not bad. And certainly one of the best times that you could possibly see at this one. Just looking at Sarah Dove still, only driver on a lap through the S's section, just came out of China Beach, and it's so difficult to get these corners right, because then you head into this right-hander of turn number 9 on circuit, the run-up towards Thunder Valley here, under the Westfield Insurance footbridge, and now towards this right and into this very difficult uphill blind left-hander. You're always guessing where the apex is on the exit as well, because of the fact that the track falls away. Then into this carousel, turn number 12. That pit entrance is so difficult. It catches even the best drivers out on their days. And across the line, it is going to be a 35.7. It's improvement, but it's improvement not enough to improve position overall. Looking through the field, nobody is going to be able to set a lap time. So what I can do is take you to the Heusinkveld starting grid. So Heusinkveld, they certainly do offer a broad array of products and services, including advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware, and sponsors on practically every major team in sim racing today. If you're looking for an edge in racing, get in touch today at heusinkveld.com. And for the first time in a while, it's a comprehensive pole position for someone not named Sonny and ending in Kanchin. Robert Hartley, pole position 134.063. Sonny Kanchin will start alongside in the second position. Irun Nom in the number 078 will start third, the rolling Estonian. Steve Hefford alongside in fourth. And you can argue that Sonny Kanchin's got a new teammate now, Marcelo Pajnan, who will start from fifth. Tom Ratje, the Bay State Hammer, from sixth. Patrick Fliss will start 7th with Brian Holmes 8th, 9th to Anthony Delahaye, and Gianni Quintilier, leading amateur, rounds out the top 10.
Eric the Red and Dory make up row 6. Dries Nice in the Baker's Dozen spot. The California Kid, Eric Garcia, in 14th. Gene Fittis and Kip Stevens in the next group. Jupp Wilmanson and Ludwig Sauer in 17th and 18th. 19th and 20th, Jordy Fike and Sarah Dove. Jake?
21, Blackjack, Michael Wright, double deuce for Derek Holland. Jacob Toffs, newcomer, 23rd on the grid. Then you got Lee Dima and the Japanese driver Atsushi Maeda. Max Wright and Mark King, 26th and 27th. Joining on row 14 is Joe McDonald. He didn't have a farm, but he had 28th position. 29th is Trip the Arrow Smith with Jeroen Ursum. And two more that I'll wrap up here, Soup. Jörg Dankert and also Al Heaton. Dankert with a new wheel. That will be very interesting to see how he survives through this effort. But 2 minutes to get yourself gridded up here at Mid-Ohio, or you start from that very dreaded place that is known as Pit Road. And Pit Road can be a really difficult place to start. Sometimes it can be a blessing, and sometimes it can be a curse. And I think that a lot of drivers will be looking for it. Green flag, though, flies. And we're underway from Mid-Ohio for 28 laps worth of action. Good start from Hartley as he looks to take that inside line into turn number 1. Very much single file for the first 5 positions. And a big dive to the inside from the Slovene machine, Patrick Fliss, who is taking zero risk at the early, or taking major risk at the start of this one compared to the zero risk of the Bay State Hammer, who he managed to get past. Hartley under pressure from Kanchin into turn number 2. Some say you're going through the keyhole at turn number 2, but that doesn't matter. Run to China Beach then starts up for the very first time, and it's a clean start by all.
Steve Hefford in 4th position, giving real pressure back on Errol Num. Rounding out your top 5, Marcelo Pajan. Patrick Fliss also in 6th, hanging in there.
Yeah, hanging in there very well against Sonny Kanchin's teammate there. And, well, Norm under pressure now as he looks at Steve Hefford trying to go around the outside at China Beach, get down to the inside at turn 5. Not going to happen as he looks at this whole section, you could argue, is called China Beach as they head in towards the Esses section out on circuit under the Honda footbridge. They head themselves along, and it's very much single file up and down, trying to hold the power as much as you possibly can in as many situations as you can. Tom-Erik Voll has not had the best of starts, and as a driver who's expected to be up there challenging for wins every single time, to be stuck down outside the top 10, not the way you want to go. Hefford runs incredibly wide, tries to save it at Thunder Valley, tags the wall slightly, gets away with one potentially, but loses a whole slew of positions.
We're going to look at that one on replay. And other than that, everybody making it through the carousel right now. We're going to get all 32 cars around relatively clean. Steve Hefford might have a different opinion of that comment.
Yeah, he certainly will. Back live, and Steve Hefford is down in position 21 after that opening lap. A shocking lap for Steve Hefford. And Thunder Valley, it's a blind corner. It does that too. You've got to be careful about areas like that happening. Got to make sure, though, that you are there and you are scrapping out as much as you can. Quintilier right now is applying the pressure. Anthony Delahaye in the 861. He's the man under pressure.
Quintilier are by far and away our best amateur right now as he races in 9th position. The next one will be way back to Kip Stevens, who's back in about, 15th?
15th for Kip, the Hairflick Stevens is behind him. Jupp Willemsen versus Ludwig Sauer for 3rd in the amateur category, looking to go on the brakes around the outside. Tries Willemsen at China Beach, but he gets hung out to dry. Can't make that happen. Behind that was followed very much by Michael Wright. Wright will lose the position as well. In fact, no, scratch that. That was Sarah Dove on the outside who was not getting that correctly. And Sarah Dove around the outside at turn number 6, making that one look absolutely fantastic. And Hefford turns around the man of Michael Wright, and Hefford getting too greedy trying to chase positions, and that's going to mean that the stewards may have a word.
Yeah, it goes from bad to worse for him. He had such a great qualifying. He qualified up and 4th, but now he has fallen way back after a couple incidents.
After just a couple incidents, you can't afford to fall back, especially in this early stage here. Lap 3 then of the event. Let's get over to that. Hartley, Kanchin, Nom, Kanchin's teammate there with Fliss, Ratji, Holmes, all there. Delahaye in 8th position. And actually, I want to talk about this battle between Holmes and Ratji. Holmes has been very, very astute and quiet this season. He's always been there, Soup. He's always been waiting to just get that big break, and it just seems that it never quite falls for him. Always a good contender. Look at the wide line, though, from the driver in 3rd, Iru Nom, getting it all shades of wrong.
Yeah, you're looking at two drivers that are very, it's a contrast in styles there. Tom Ratty, a veteran. In fact, he leads all the drivers with the most MWT starts. Holmes, a newcomer, not a rookie, but yes, like Jake was saying, faster than his results would indicate right now. But a great battle going on for 6 between Ratchy, the Bay State Hammer, and Brian Holmes, the Englishman.
Yes, and the Englishman looking for a way through in the Bay State Hammer's home garden, shall we say. And, well, the Bay State Hammer holds off position yet again through China Beach. And what we are seeing is not many overtakes as I look at Hefford go down the inside of Lee Deemer in the 68 machine, making light work of that down at China Beach. But what we are seeing is maybe less overtakes towards the front of the field. I think this is a strategy game today here, Soup, more rather than a full draft and slipstream fest.
I guess if you're talking home court advantage, you might want to think about the driver racing in 9th place right now. That's Travis Dory Swenke. He is from Ohio. This is his this track, obviously Mid-Ohio in Ohio. I'm not sure if Swenke is from Mid-Ohio. I'm not really sure where that would be. I guess in the middle of Ohio. But right now he's working on Delahaye, who is up in 8th.
Clearly, a name like Mid-Ohio indicates that this circuit is in Northwest Ohio. So that's probably what we're looking at here, but still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all there in a line and no real opportunities going through. But you can see it's pretty much a train of 13. It goes all the way back to 5 minutes Gene Fiddis in the 890 machine, and this is what drivers are a little bit worried about, is those positions. They certainly go away, and you certainly look to hold on to the trains. Delahaye now under immense amounts of pressure from Travis Schwenke as Schwenke pulls up alongside, passing the IndyCar start line on the left-hand side that they've just gone through. But Schwenke's got to do it around the outside at China Beach. That's not the place you normally get to see that happen. Around the outside, inside line for the off-camber turn 5, the second part of China Beach, and sorting that one out, a dream. Travis Schwenke swims up to 8.
After my monologue about car contact, this is so often the case. After you have an ugly race, the drivers get it together, have a nice clean one. How about this? All 32 cars still on the track. Michael Wright, maybe the only driver that had a chance to get turned. And, of course, we had the trouble from the driver who qualified fourth, Steve Hefford.
We certainly did, but it's nice to see everyone running in this early stage of this event. But you could argue that maybe a smaller field, only 32 today, is also contributing maybe to less incident, that maybe a circuit such as Watkins Glen has a more tendency, shall we say, to create incident. The gaps at the front, the top 3 split by a second, the top 5 split by 2 seconds out on circuit. As you see Fliss go off at turn number 1 and keep it out of the wall. Very fortunate to keep it out of the tyres, but Patrick Fliss drops a multitude of positions soon.
We mentioned in the pre-race show, Fliss last time here had a 3rd place finish. Not going to get that today unless disaster strikes many of the cars in front of him. But a tip of the hat to Patrick. He did not bring that car off in front of the guys. He merged back on safely. That's tough to do.
It certainly is, and he's now stuck behind Willemsen, a certain Sarah Dove, and a certain Steve Hefford. So Hefford, even with that mistake, it's proven more costly for Patrick Fliss in the early stages. And Fliss, he'll be felt very hard done by there because he had snap oversteer heading in towards the right-hander, and because of that, it's now just a train of 4 at the front.
Yeah, the driver really sad to see Fliss out of it is Ratchy and Holmes, because they were trying to catch up to the back of Fliss to make it what would have been a 7-car train. Now with Fliss gone, Ratchy has really worked hard to get up to the back of Jean to even make it a 6-car train.
Yeah, to get to the back of Sonny's teammate will certainly be an opportunity, but actually this helps Sonny Canchin in this situation because he's got his teammate there to help him out. That's going to mean that it's 2 drivers working together at the front. Irunom's got his own alternatives. You look at Robert Hartley, he's got his own alternatives. When you've got a teammate suit, you know that you have that advantage that's going to help you.
As we look at those top 4, I'm going to take it away for a minute because I got a good battle back here, about 10th position. I actually want to look at 8th there maybe. Now this is Quintelier. He just made it around Delahaye, but the guy... And Jake, I'm surprised to see him so far back here, and that is Eric the Red, Eric Ball. He was so fast last time. Remember, he was one of the drivers that got into it with Bajan going straight. Right now, he's struggling a bit down in 10th.
But this circuit is very different to the circuit of Watkins Glen. Yes, it has elevation change, but what it has is a very different set of profile corners. This isn't the case of your sweeper corners that you normally see here, so wouldn't you really say that you have a lot more technical ability challenged here at the circuit of Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, this really plays into the hands of guys like Sonny Ketchen and Errol Nome, who've got to feel like they have an advantage at this place. How about we drop back just a little bit further? You want some entertaining reading? Drop into the MWT forum. Check out what Gene Fittis had to say. The Kiwi was really going at it with Sonny Ketchen about driving etiquette. Right now, Flit is racing in 11th, just ahead of Dries Nice.
And the Aussies...
I found it entertaining.
Well, the Aussies and the New Zealanders typically don't get on as well as normally you'd think they would, but there was proof in the pudding when you looked at the forums earlier on today. But right now, what has to be said is that, Brian Holmes getting close to the Bay State Hammer in the battle for the top 5, which is 4 seconds now off of your race leader of Robert Hartley. Now closing up onto that is also Travis Schwenke. Schwenke's finding a very good turn of pace in comparison to the vehicles in front. Was a full 0.4 of a second quicker than the driver of what was going to be the Bay State Hammer, Tom Ratchey, 2 laps ago. But this lap, 35.8, 35.8, 0.8 of a second this time from Schwenke. They were battling.
I think Holmes might be saying, come on, Tom, if you're not going to be able to run down Pajan, let me have a shot at it. Maybe you can follow me around. I think Holmes has visions of getting up there racing with the big boys.
Well, something's happened to Sarah Dove as well in the 177. A lot of positions being lost, and that was not contact through turn number 1, but a huge slide coming out of the corner, unable to bring that power down. And with these colder conditions here today, Soup, drivers are struggling through turn number 1 because they have to be so aggressive through that almost flat out corner.
But she didn't panic. She got the car straight on the grass, brought it back out.
And 5 cones taken away there, Soup.
Oh my gosh.
And that was trying to get through Atsushi Maeda, the Japanese driver, leaving racing room and a little bit less, you could say, on the inside. And just in front of that goes Derek Holland around for a spin at China Beach. And, well, you may want to try and get a bit of sunny sun, but Derek Holland will be getting a lot of spin and smoke.
A lot of drivers dodging the bullet here. A lot of spins, but not a lot of car contact right now. Another good job of keeping that car out of trouble.
And would you say, Soup, that's probably a thing that happens because this circuit is maybe more geared up to punish a more powerful machine like a GT3, for example?
Well, I don't know. That's you can spin these little MX-5s no matter what. Well, at least guys in the back can spin them no matter what. It doesn't take a lot of chance to spin them.
Well, I know I could certainly spin an MX-5 very well. I couldn't necessarily drive one to the best capabilities or abilities, so that would normally put me in a place known as the commentary booth because of my ability to drive in a vehicle. But look at Sonny Kanchin now on the back of Robert Hartley. This could be the first opportunity we've seen on lap 8 of the event. Moves to the inside of the circuit. Hartley will leave the room on the inside, but if he can defend it around the outside at China Beach, he's got the inside for the second part of the corner. Iru Nom, the rolling Estonian, will sit and lie in wait on the brakes. Right-hander trying to hold it around the outside. Kanchin will try and shut the door as he makes his way through. And now look at that. Position number 1 for the championship leader in controversial fashion. That contact last week with Robert Hartley will be in the back of his mind, and you could see that from Hartley. He left a little bit more extra room in towards China Beach.
The racing gods are very cruel. They will notoriously put 2 cars together that had an incident the lap before. Right now, though, this time it's Hartley behind Ketch, and maybe Hartley can see what his ghost attack will be like. Nah, that's not going to happen. What I think has really happened to the guy to watch out for, Errol Num. He's back there saving fuel. He would like to have a fast pit stop. Also, Pajan was about to be dropped until Ketchen made that move. That brought Pajan back into the hunt.
And of course, Sonny's teammate would want a good thing, but Maeda running into issues in the 193, and that's a 1 just heading out to the S's towards Thunder Valley, and that was all getting it wrong through the S's there, Soup. He got over the curve, slightly missed the apex, ran wide through the section, tried to bring it back out, and when he tried to put the power down to get some power going, round you go, Mr. Japanese driver.
That was right in front of Sarah Dove, who could commiserate with his problems. She's had him. He brings out when he comes out in 31st when it's all said and done.
I think a lot of drivers could commiserate when all said and done. Almost 3 wide. Jordi Fike, Lee Diemer, Jert Willemsen on the inside, and well, holding that position in comparison to Lee Diemer. Diemer trying to get the run out of the exit, and well, I think Jordi Fike, who is one of these very promising amateurs in this field, will be looking to try and use that to his ability. Saradov waiting at the back of this amateur battle. All 4 of them split by about half a second. So here comes Lee Diemer to the outside. Jordi Fike will just follow in tow and hope to get an opportunity. But look at how Willemsen will just get very deep on the brakes. Almost contact between the two. Gets away with it. Fike thought about trying to dive one down the inside at the second part of China Beach. That wasn't going to work there, Sue.
All amateurs going on back there, but Jordi Fike, a veteran of the series. Look at that nose-to-tail racing. Diemer, Willemsen, Fike, and here comes Saradov.
Saradov trying, but there's no room at the end there, so we're not going to accept another invitation to go through and make some moves. And from about here, Thunder Valley onwards, you don't often get to see many overtakes. Some criticise this circuit for being a one-circuit all-track. And actually, eye on Brian Holmes. He's got through over the last 2 laps on the driver of the Bay State Hammer, Tom Ratchey. And that's going to be good for Brian Holmes. He's going to try and break away, but it's very clear that the pace is not there in these machines. 35.8 for Brian Holmes. Compare that to the 35.5s being run at the front.
Yeah, the last lap around, Holmes was behind. He was actually pushing Rath, giving him a bump draft, trying to do the best he can. That's a great 3-car battle. Schwenke in the mix as well. You talk about this being a 1-lane racetrack. Well, not for Lee Diemer that we were just looking back in 18th position. He's up 6 spots, so he's found some way to pass some guys.
Oh, and you can see down to the inside, Lee Diemer on Willemsen. Willemsen gets hung out to dry on the outside. Jordi Fike comes together, and they both go spearing off in towards a section. And look at Willemsen. He'll probably have to work out a way to get back because he's just done a complete 360. And well, that's Willemsen done. Replay on screen, and that was just not necessarily contact, but frustration afterwards.
By the time he got the car straightened back out, I think he was in Pennsylvania. Look at the runoff area here, and there he goes.
Pennsylvania? He was more like he was in the Atlantic Ocean after that sort of contact there, Soup. And well, Fike then still looking to keep himself into some sort of situation because he's got himself going. He's with Tofts and King, and now in front of him is Max Wright. So he's got more work to do, does the driver of Jordi Fike in the amateur category. But I'm keeping my eye out further down the field because you've got likes of Patrick Fliss, Kip Stevens, Eric Garcia, and Steve Hefford all there. And Kip Stevens, as we all know very well, is a wily man. He knows how to pick his battles well, Soup, and the hair flick will decide maybe the Slovene machine is better off being let through at some stage.
Great racing going on from the amateur driver. He was leading the amateur standings. Not sure where he stands right now because we didn't get that update.
That is something very worth talking about, is that we don't quite know the points coming into this event. And look at that easy move for the Slovene machine to go down the inside of Kip Stevens. As I said, he knows when to pick and choose his battles out on circuit. But the pit stop window, very much open here on lap 11. Maybe we're going to lap 18 to see who's going to dive down the latest here at this circuit. And well, as late as possible is normally what we get to see. And when you've got such a narrow pit road as we do here, Soup, it's going to be a case of when you come in, you hope that nobody else comes in with you.
Now, if we look at the leaders, we're looking at Patrick Fliss right now. Notoriously for coming in early would be Errol Numb. That's what he likes to do, unless he thinks he's not fast enough and he doesn't want to lose the draft right now. But he's notorious for coming in. I think he's got to worry about where he would cycle out, though. Sometimes you cycle out in traffic. The driver I want to really mention, though, Jake, if we can, driver racing in 8th. It's our amateur. It's Quintelier. He is coming. He's going to catch up with Schwenke, Ratzi, and Holmes.
And he'll want to get an amazing result here for the amateur category, but he's got to be too careful about getting good results here, Soup, because, of course, there is moderation. You can go up and be promoted to a pro driver, and I think Quintelier is on the cusp of that this season.
Well, the good news is I think he's past the point of no return. That promotion's not going to come this season. It'll certainly, almost definitely come for season number 15.
And season 15 here at the MWT is a massive milestone, and it's not often that you get 15 seasons of anything, so 15 seasons of this. Well, you have to say it has been a fantastic 15. When you look overall, side by side, Della Hayes and the red, Tom, Eric, Vol. Vol will have the inside, but doesn't have the drive to work with Della Hayes here. Della Hayes, much more astute when getting the power down, but a small flick back into the draft, and Tom-Erik Voll's got the inside for China Beach.
Ball's got to probably be a little bit gun-shy down the straight after having the trouble that he had last time with Pajan. In fact, look at him hug the inside line. I think he's going to lose momentum now. Here comes Gene, must finish fittest. I think as they go side by side, looks like the momentum's going to go to Voll, though.
I thought we called him 5 more minutes for this after the moment that he had a little bit of a sleep in the vehicle. Either way, Gene Fittest unable to make the move. Dries Nice there waiting just behind and unable to make a move on the run up towards this right-hander before Thunder Valley, which is one of the most difficult corners in all of racing and of all of sim racing, you could argue as well, but still no takers from the front four to dive down early on towards pit road. No takers then from the next bunch of four, and no takers following on from the next bunch of four. It's for 3 bunches of 4 at the front, and a mistake there looking for Eric Garcia as he's under pressure from Kip the Hairflick Stevens.
Stevens relegated back to, started in 16th position, racing where he is right now, seeing if he can get around Eric Garcia. Garcia, the California kid, not having the season he would like. Usually we've seen him of late racing at least inside the top 10, maybe even top 5s. Right now he's been tough to get it going this season, a veteran of the MWT.
Maybe he's been California dreaming, Soup.
There's a lot of things to do if you live in California on a Saturday.
There are a lot of things, and maybe he'll be hoping that he'll race back in California at some stage and get better results. But looking at the front, it is very much as we left it, as the driver of Hartley goes for a very aggressive line, almost clipping the back of Sonny Kanchan's back bumper, as it were. And well, Robert Hartley, you could argue, yes, may leave a little bit more room for Sonny Kanchan, but on the other point, he could decide to drive that little bit closer and tempt a bit of fate. Really be aggressive with Kanchan and say, do you want to make contact with me? I don't think you do.
Good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, certainly Hartley has every right to get right up on the back of Kanchan. I think there's been more than once this season that has happened. How about a shout-out, though, to the Italian driver, Marcelo Pajan, doing a great job hanging back there in fourth. Remember, pit stop's coming up. Pajan and Num have had no clean air in front of them. They're saving fuel.
They are. They're trying to maybe think about going longer, and Sonny's teammate will be looking for that opportunity. You also have the opportunity for Iru Num, the rolling Estonian, who wants to make his way through, who wants to have that opportunity to win for the first time this season. The only 2 winners this season are those in positions 1 and 2. You could argue it is a 2-horse race to the title, but it's been that consistency of Iru Num that's kept him in the title picture, and that's something always to keep in mind.
Let's go to 9th real quick. This is where the action is. This is Della Hayes out in front. The move on the inside from Voll. We talked about the 4-car battles, 4, 4, and 4. Well, this is our 3rd set of 4 back here, but these guys are the most aggressive with Fittest. Look at Fittest. Here he comes. Where is he going to go? To the left, to the right? He's trying to try it to the left side.
Everything in that box to the left, a song that Beyonce once sung, but there was the draft there of Della Hayes, which allowed the red Tom-Erik Voll to hold on to it. And look how deep Fittest goes in, almost takes the back of Della Hayes, but still goes around the outside. Tom-Erik Voll does not have China Beach wrapped up. And look at this, now into play comes Dries Nice, and almost contact between the 2. And around the outside goes Dries Nice in towards the S's, and Tom-Erik Voll ceremoniously dumped to the back of the tray.
Eric the Red had that car really sideways. He gathers his back up. He was in 10th when we started the camera on him. He's dropped back to 12th. Don't worry, plenty of time for him to catch up. Della Hayes, Fittest, Nice, and Voll in that order.
And I think Tom-Erik Voll is not the red, but more Ethelred the unready at this stage here, Sue. And Hartley's in, big one.
He comes in early. Looks like he got in clean. That means the lead pack is now 3.
The lead pack's 3. Kanchan maybe has a little bit of sanctum, 0.8 of a second between him and the Estonian Iru Num. And you feel now Num will close up to that gap of Kanchan. It depends on where Hartley comes out in the big melee, in the big mess on lap 15 of the event. Were there any other takers down onto the lane? No, there are not. But Hartley, a long stop, a long wait then, as he hopes to get out as soon as he possibly can. Finally, he gets the release, he gets himself going, and he's behind Lee Diemer out on circuit. That's fine, that's clean air, but how long was the stop, Soup?
That stop comes in at, where are you there, Rob? I'll give you that in 21 seconds. But what is interesting, I think this is an easier move to do if you're the pole sitter. Hartley might be thinking, look, Katchen's hanging on the back of me. I was 0.3 of a second faster. Let me out there. Let me run by myself, and let me see when this is all said and done if I can just drive away from Sonny.
Side by side, Gene Fiddis and Anthony Delahaye. Delahaye's on the outside at the exit of China Beach. The run to the S's not going to work for him. So Anthony Delahaye's behind Fiddis, the New Zealander. And the New Zealander now up into position number 9 out on circuit, and will be very happy with position number 9 at this stage. Will anybody cover off the move? Katchen covers it. Pajnan, their Sonny's teammate, also comes in. Team strategy into play. Iru Nom will be the last man of the leading 4. Dive down onto the lane. Also diving in, the Bay State Hammer. Dory in on the lane. Fiddis 5 more minutes in. And also the red, today the unready, Tom-Erik Voll down onto the lane as the California Kid.
I think Katchen had to come in. He had to worry that Hartley would be able to run away from him if he wasn't in the draft. Now he just needs to have one of his typical fast pit stops, get in and out.
And you look at Hartley, he's rounding through the final corner, looking to get away. Everybody getting away. Ratji away, Swenky away. You see Katchen's teammate getting away. Katchen, though, has 1.5 miles. It was a very slow stop for Robert Hartley. 21 seconds is not what you want in this series, and the big issue came in and the big issue came away. Now Hartley's with Dory. Now it relies on certain other things, because it wasn't a good stop for what was Sonny's teammate in Marcelo Pajnan. It now relies on 0.78.
There's another 21-second stop there as well from Pajnan. This is going to crush Hartley with that stop.
And in that sort of situation, is it a case of maybe taking 4 tires instead of 2? Maybe something like that?
Yeah, you should be able to take 2 for free. And I can't find the 12-second gap. 12 to 12. I mean, a 21-second stop compared to a 12-second stop. Not even a slowdown penalty would matter there.
No, it wouldn't. And the question is, speeding on pit road maybe is 15 seconds.
Yeah,
in comes Quintelier, in comes Holmes. And there's not much more you can really argue in this situation of what you do. Still, though, Iru Nom staying out for another lap. 35.4 he takes on that lap. That's not bad of a lap time, actually, for Iru Nom. In fact, when you look at the 35.4, yes, it's slowing down a little bit, but it's only 1 second off of his fastest lap. That's fine. Delahaye's nice. Hefford, and also Patrick Fliss in this next train that goes on. My goodness, Steve Hefford has closed up quite a bit to get onto this train, and almost into the rear there of Dries Nice as they all take the wide line.
Yeah, let me take you away for a second. We go back to Sonny Katchen right now in 8th position. Here's the problem with this strategy. He's stuck behind Ludwig Sauer. Now he dives down in there, but that was really, Katchen was really slowed down. This is what the Roland Estonian has to hope for in the lead, is that Katchen gets slowed down. He's got some clear air in front of him now before he gets to Kip Stevens.
Yes, he does. And, well, a bit of clean air is always very good. But look at this here with Delahaye. Nice to the outside at China Beach, inside to China Beach. And now Hefford wants to go down to the inside. Not going to work. He gets stuck on that inside track and is unable to make anything happen on the run towards the S's. So there was attempts there between Nice, Delahaye and Hefford. They've got to get to the likes of Quintelier, and there's Patrick Fliss waiting in the wings as well to try and gain a couple of positions. Does Iru Nom now decide to dive on the lane? No, he's going to run the tank bare barren here today, Sue.
As we were looking at Hefford, just to follow up at that battle, he was the fastest of those 3 cars that were out there. Remember, he qualified 4th. Nom going to stay out there and race. He's got clear track ahead of him. He's got a light fuel load. He's going to run this tank as dry as he can. Let's give you an interval from Nom back to Katchen. That interval is right now 26 seconds.
That's marginal. That's very marginal on a fuel stop. 26 seconds is not brilliant. It's 26.2. We're looking for it's now 26.3. In fact, Iru Nom was faster on that last lap than Sonny Katchen was. How much faster? The answer was a few thousandths of a second. So not much in the way between them right now. But looking at who's going to come out where, Fliss jumps Hefford and Nice. So look at that from Patrick Fliss. Perfect stop. Gets out in front of both of his compatriot rivals.
And again, when it comes to fast pit stops, I'm going to stick with my Coriolis effect, that there's something below the equator that makes it faster. The 2 fastest pit stops, Katchen and Fiddis. What do they have in common? Australia and New Zealand.
That and the fact that they've had a good argument with each other during this week, that's another factor that can put in. Sarah Dove being swamped, though, by the Bay State Hammer and Dory Travis Schwenke keeping out of the way. Lap traffic, in essence, yes, it's for position, but does decide to let them go because you don't want to affect anybody else's race. Irunom finally dives down onto the lane at the end of the cycle. Lap 18 on the brakes, absolutely inch perfect onto the 70km/h pit road that he finds, and he looks for his box, which will be right down towards the end of the stalls. He takes himself right down left-hand side. He'll brake for what is the third to last box, and he hits it absolutely perfectly. Eyes on Kanchin then, who rounds himself through the carousel, rounding this final corner, very similar to Barber in that aspect here at Mid-Ohio.
Numbers rolling.
Out, and look at that, Irunom rolling, but that won't matter. It's about the run he gets out of this corner because Kanchin's going to get a very good chance through this one. And for the first time this season, Sonny Kanchin is behind substantially, heading on towards this second stage in a one-on-one scrap for the win.
1.7, 1.6, it looks like it's going to settle down as now Num has that little MX-5 engine up to speed. 1.5 seconds. Kanchin's going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. He's going to have to run him down.
He will. Robert Hartley in position number 3 will be hurting and will feel like a mortal wound has just stabbed him because he could have been there. He could have easily done it. The pit stop wasn't right. Now you got Ratchi versus Schwenke. P4, P5 out on circuit. This scrap going on, and Dory thought about it. 1, thought about it. 2, onto the brakes into China Beach. Not going to happen though for Dory. Dory's just going to keep swimming and waiting.
No reason for Ratchi or Schwenke to try to get around right now Hartley. Let Hartley drive them back up to the front. Let's follow up on the Num and Kanchin pit stops. We talked about Kanchin being fast. How about Num? 11.5 seconds. You want to have a fast pit stop? Put in less fuel. Did he take enough fuel? We'll find out on the last lap.
Less fuel then from Irunom. That's interesting because he saved a lot in the opening lap. So he may have just run that number perfectly by saving fuel. On the off chance, though, that he's decided to take less fuel, if he can't make it to the end, Sonny Kanchin would have won either way. But this is now Irunom trying to run for the border. Not, in fact, run for the border. He's trying to nurse it to the border.
Almost all the cars have come in for their pit stops. We'll run down, pay our bills here in a minute after Sarah Dove comes in. She's currently racing in 7th. She still needs to make that stop. Max Wright as well.
Yeah, so the perennial fuel savers still need to come in on lap 20, which is miles here in terms of saving fuel at the circuit of Mid-Ohio. So we'll get to your backmarker report here, so we know you love it. We can't get rid of it.
No, they can't do it until everyone makes their stop, Jake.
Exactly. You have to wait. It's tradition. We don't break a tradition here at GSRC. We're very nice on that matter of fact. Fides and Quintelier then, the battle between the amateur leader in waiting, shall we say, when Sarah Dove needs to come down for the stop, and Jean Fides. You feel right now, Quintelier, if he's not going to be too bold and brave, he's on for some massive points overall in the amateur category.
You look at Fides right now racing in 9th with, Quintelier's having a great run. He is our top amateur. The next closest amateur to him, and remember, they score points. The cushion between them is all very important. Well, it's Max Wright, but again, Wright has yet to come in, so really the top amateur who have pitted was Kip Stevens, but my goodness, he's down in 18th position.
18th position, that's a long way away. Look at Kanchin, though. The way that he starts to close down the gap to Irunom, and the gap was 1.3, it's now 9/10 of a second. Kanchin's just put the afterburners on. Nom's still saving here today, and look at that. Dove in, Heaton in, and I think we're going to see maybe one more, and Max Wright decide to dive in.
They went about as far as they could. We figured that there would be about 9 laps to the end. They went one more, 8 to go.
8 to go, not long left, and in comes Max Wright, so we'll wait for them to come out, and then a backmarker report will certainly be due in diligence, but what now has to be looked at is Pajnan, Schwenke, Ratchi, and Hartley here for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Hartley's trying to break this group, but I think Travis Schwenke has got to either A, make a move, or B, hope that Tom Ratchi is there. I think he may have to either A, make it, or B, back off.
It's a great battle going on between those front. And look at the guy up in the front. You're not seeing him there. Just going out of your screen. That's Hartley. He's got to be happy with that horrible pit stop that he's still on a podium position.
Yeah, he's still on that podium. He's still very happy with being on that podium position, but it could be a race win. It could still be a race win if there's any argy-bargy with Sonny Kanchin for what you could argue will be the second time in 2 weeks if it does happen. But Soup, we know you love it. It's time. Oh, yes, it's time. It's a backmarker report time.
Let's start with the last car on the lead lap, and I got to get to him in a hurry because here comes Num and catch him. It's Lee Deemer racing in 29th position. He's got about 3.5 seconds before he gets up to the newcomer making his series debut. That is Jacob Toffs. Then he's got about 5 seconds to get to Joe McDonald. McDonald having a nice run in 27th. Trip Smith, notoriously clean driver, in a battle right now. Oh, these guys they know each other for a long time. This is Trip and Jeroen Ursum battling for 25th position. Let's stay on this for a minute. We'll see if Travis can make, or if Trip can make this pass. And he's gonna, let's stay on it, boys. How's it gonna play out? Smith gets it done. Moves Smith up to 25th. Jeroen Ursum back to 26th. They're not done, but now he closes the door. Let's keep going. No time to stay there. Mark King racing in 24th position. He's got about 4 seconds till he gets up to the Japanese driver, which would be Atsushi Marietta. Marietta is racing in 23rd. 20 seconds to Max Wright. He was spun earlier. He's recovering. Jordy Fike, the sheriff, in 21st. And King is having trouble back there. Let's move on. Michael Wright in 20th. And I'm going to wrap it out there because I think the excitement is up front. That is the Eagle's Tavern 67 back marker salute. Did I get it in 60 seconds? Maybe a bit longer. Go ahead, Jake.
Close enough indeed. So, Irunom versus Sonny Kanchin. The battle for the victory as things stand is now between 1 and 2. And there's traffic in the form of Lee Deemer just in front. So, Sonny Kanchin's got to be careful about the way he does it. He ran very wide. He had to back out of it through Thunder Valley. And Thunder Valley does not take any prisoners. It almost took Steve Hefford away. But right now, this is the thing. Irunom can afford to slow it down. All he needs to do is race the one driver behind him. They've got that 6-second gap all the way back to Robert Hartley. They don't have to do too much more. It's now mano a mano. And guess what? It is going to be pistols at dawn.
Time to lift, Lee. Let both the drivers by. No reason to battle into that corner. I don't like it. I don't understand that. Contact between Deemer and Kanchin. I don't know what. No, and Deemer is upset. I don't understand why. You are being lapped.
Get
out of the way.
No, he is absolutely right to be upset in that situation there, Soup. What you don't see is the fact that Kanchin deviated from the same line Irunom did and actually tracked into the driver of Lee Deemer. Deemer has every right to be upset at Kanchin trying to take more road than I think that many people would have given him credit for there, Soup. I think that Sonny Kanchin is a lucky, lucky man if things stay the way they do.
I understand, but you got to compromise and separate. There was a lift. You could have let those guys by. I mean, Deemer's racing with nobody around him. Get out of the way. Let them have that corner to themselves. I love you, Lee, and I agree. I understand what you're saying, but yeah, situation never should have happened. Anyway, it looked like Kanchin's okay though.
Kanchin is okay. It was only a light brush, but a lot of heated voices going in, and just as we like seeing in GSRC, two sides of the same coin coming into play in the commentary booth. But Hartley, Ratchi, Schwenke, Pajnan here, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All there fighting for one spot on the podium. That could end very, very uncomfortably if they're not careful. Hartley at the front is being forced to go to the front. The Bay State Hammer now goes from defense to offense.
Yeah, look at that. It's Ratchi having a great run in 4th, and I'm surprised that Hartley hasn't been able to pull away from these guys. Schwenke and Pajnan in there as well.
Yeah, Schwenke and Pajnan just sitting, waiting, catbird seat, opportunities knock, and they were all looking to just try and get that one magic moment to work in their favor. But eyes, though, go to Irunom, because if Nom can break now, Sonny Kanchin, if he can just get away after that incident with Deemer, he has the opportunity to then suddenly decide, you know what? I got to go through. There's traffic ahead in the form of Jacob Toffs and Joe McDonald. So there's 2 vehicles to negotiate. And knowing that Kanchin's been a little bit friendly with traffic and the fact that there's 4 to go when they cross the line, I think Irunom will be very happy at negotiating things at this stage.
a tale of two backmarkers coming up. Joe McDonald, a series veteran. He knows how to get out of the way. We don't know much about Jacob Toft. This is his first race here. We'll see if how he plays out.
And Jacob Toft from Club UK and Ireland will be a driver which a lot of people will be keeping an eye out on here to see how he negotiates at this slower stage of his racing career. But right now, Irunom, 4 laps to go. He's just got himself 12, if not 14 kilometers left to drive at the circuit of Mid-Ohio, and he'll be hoping to get some good points and get a victory finally as the defending champion. Ratji versus Schwenke, though. This is the next one we need to look at, because Travis Schwenke, if he needs to get past and look for a podium, which he hasn't had this season, he's got to get past the Bay State Hammer. It's not going to be waiting forever. You can see just how much the Bay State Hammer starts to fall back on Robert Hartley. Time is a-ticking, Mr. Schwenke.
And if we can quickly go up to Toft, look at this. This is Toft pulling out of the way, letting the drivers go by before they get down into China Beach.
Fair play there. Fair play from P10 battle going on as well. We'll look further back for that, because Fliss is side by side with Steve Hefford here in the 777. And after that incident that put Steve Hefford back in 21st position, who'd have thought a top 10 was possible after all of that? He's still in 11th as Patrick Fliss has got himself through.
Both of those guys have had their familiarity going through the Ohio tundra, as Fliss has had an off as well.
Yeah, Fliss having an off, so Fliss got to go careful about doing that too many times, because maybe the machine will bite back and say, I want to crash. But now look at Hartley. He's broken Tom Ratji, the Bay State Hammer, and that hammer looks very much like a chisel at this stage. He's got to be pried apart, you'd feel, in this situation.
Great battle. These guys have been fighting the whole race. How about a tip of the hat to Marcello Pajan? He is noted for being aggressive. He has been back there racing nicely, following drivers around. Very tame race from the Italian driver today.
Sonny Canchin's taught him well. But Sonny Canchin right now, you'd say, is losing the ground to Irunom. The gap is 7/10 of a second between them. And 7/10, that's never going to be close enough to make a move. Canchin's got to hustle. He's got 3 laps to go. Canchin could lose a second race this season, and that will start to put worrying signs in his head.
I don't think the lap traffic has been an advantage to Canchin, because Num has caught them on the straightaway. He's been able to tuck in behind, get a tow, making it harder for Canchin to catch up. That gap now up to a second.
Up to a second, but it's 3 seconds a lap they're catching on the likes of Trip Smith and Jeroen Ursum just in front, but I think they're too far back to have anything to do with it. So we'll focus on this Ratji Schwenke. Behind that, though, there is a lap battle. Yes, that's probably the best way of describing it. Dima versus Toft. And Toft right now holding off very well there. Lee Dima not in a position to make a move here through the S's, and is very much held up at this stage.
Toft has gone that lap down. Those are the 2 guys that just got out of the way, so those guys are battling to be first, 1 lap down.
And
McDonald's a lap down. Well, let's go to drivers who aren't a lap down, because let's go up to 25th position. We talked about these 2 drivers on the back marker review. This is Ursum back in front of Tripp. Why do we care? Because I think this battle is going to come into play pretty soon. Num is back. Oh, he can see him. They're on the same straight right now. Not sure if they're going to have enough time to get there.
2 laps to go at Mid-Ohio. Canchin brings the gap down to 6/10, and you can see how much it meant through turn number 1. He took all of the cones out on the exit way of turn number 1. That's how much it means for Sonny Canchin to press. There's Mark King off in the grass getting out of the way, and Trip Smith versus Jeroen Ursum. Ursum's got the position just in front as well, but they can't afford to battle too hard, or they'll fall into the clutches of Nom and Canchin, who both in their own right have the ability to battle on the brakes into China Beach. Nothing forthcoming at this stage. Behind that, though, Bay State Hammer has Travis Schwenke backing out of it into China Beach. I think Schwenke gave up on the podium long ago before time began, and now is looking at just position 4.
As we talk about that, look how Canchin has pulled up on the back. You know, I may give you a number that may explain what's going on here. 1.4. That is the difference in time between Num's pit stop and Canchin's pit stop. Num's pit stop was very fast. Is he saving fuel? Is he lifting a little bit to get to the end?
I've seen it before, running out of fuel at the last lap here. It does happen. You've got to be careful about it, this circuit, with the elevation change, with a lot of differences in terms of applying that throttle down. You have to be careful on the fuel. The white flag will wave for one final revolution of 3.62 kilometers of 13 turns of mid-Ohio, and it's Kanchin versus Nom for all the cookies in the jar. And you can see Iru Nom half a second when they cross the line to the keyhole of turn number 2. Can anything be unlocked at this stage? The answer is I think they're a little bit too far back to gain the draft of Trip the Arrowsmith and the league organizer Jeroen Ursum. And look at that, Sonny Kanchin not getting the power down, had a horrible section of track coming out of the keyhole. And you want to know how horrible it was? He was trying to apply the power down and had to back out of it to save spinning the vehicle. Now Iru Nom is clear, and it might just come down to who runs out of fuel. Will he or won't he? Ratchi versus Schwenke behind for position number 4. Schwenke goes to the outside. There's no chance for Pajnan to make a move. It's now got to be a brave inside line into the second part of China Beach, and it won't happen for Travis Schwenke. He's now playing defense against the driver behind, Marcelo Pajnan, between now and the end of this event. Up here towards Thunder Valley comes Iru Nom, and has he done it enough in comparison to Sonny Kanchin? He's not got long left. This is just Thunder Valley here, the left-hander blind. After this, he's got to get himself then through the carousel and the drive to the line. It looks like Kanchin's far too far back at this stage and has to give up the win. And finally, after 7 attempts, if not 8 attempts of trying, Iru Nom finally gets a victory. It's Kanchin second, it's third for Hartley, and the Bay State Hammer holds on for 4th position overall. What brilliant racing we've seen, and we've still got racing like Hefford and Fliss to the line.
They got Fliss looking to get there to 10th. Another great battle going on. We're going to pick up as that battle between Ursum and Smith. We'll follow these guys around, though. Look at this going on right now. That's Fliss out in front. So they go through the, where are they? They're going through the carousel now, or are they finished up?
They're
done. Let's go ahead and jump back to Ursum and Smith then. They are the last cars on the lead lap. Right now it's Ursum racing in 22nd position, Trip Smith in 23rd.
And no issues in through China Beach for the pair of them. No issues through the second part of China Beach. Heavy wide line from Trip the Arrowsmith. It's all right. But it means that there is only one more opportunity, and that will be at the carousel. And I don't think that he'll have the ability to line that one up, Soup.
We'll see back there. Remember, Trip the Arrowsmith, notoriously clean driver, looking to score not only a position, but also keep it clean. They come around the final corner. Looks like it's going to go to Jeroen Ursum here, as he's going to pick up, what's iRacing going to call it? I guess 24th officially, with Trip Smith, the last car on the low. He's still at him. Trip, easy, buddy.
No, he's going to go straight across here to try and save it. No, he tries to bring it back. And finally, after a delayed chance, around you go, Trip the Arrowsmith. That will hurt the championship overall. And look at that. Jeroen Ursum just going to limp it across, because that's all he's got to do to get to the line. And, well, Trip Smith will lose points on the Clean Driver Award. And that will be something just to keep an eye out on later on in this season. But for now, what we're going to do is step aside for one moment here at the Global Sim Racing channel. When we come back, the post-race show, or as we like to call it here, the Eagle's Nest Tavern wrap-up, where we're going to run through the results, talk to a few drivers, and then the shop may unfortunately have to close down for another week or two. See you in a bit. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Eagle's Nest Tavern wrap-up show on the Global Sim Racing channel. Green Valley Lake is the best-kept secret in Southern California's San Bernardino Mountains. While visiting, stop into the Eagle's Nest Tavern for a hot meal and a cold drink. They're on Facebook. And so, with the Mid-Ohio circuit marauded, it is time to run down the official classified results from the action here this evening. And well, what is something to be noted first and foremost, it is all pros, apart from one anomaly, but there is a certain pro who's finally got himself head and shoulders above the rest of the field. Iru Nom has done it. He has won a race for the first time this season. The reigning champion is not going to go winless. He takes the win by 2.1 seconds over Sonny Kanchan in second. Robert Hartley will be ruining the fact that he missed out on his stop and had a horror stop in third. The Bay State Hammer holds off Travis Schwenke in fifth. And of course, Sonny Kanchan's teammate Marcelo Pajnan in sixth position. Gene Fiddis, what a good run for Gene Fiddis in seventh, started 15th. With Gianni Quintelier, the leading amateur, gaining positions, finishing eighth. Brian Holmes will finish ninth, and rounding out the top 10, the Slovene Machine, who after his spin, finishes in that top 10.
5 more pros next was Steve Hefford. Boy, he qualified fourth. He was up and down throughout the field. Finally finishes up in 11th. Della Hayes is going to be in 12th position. Dries Nice. Tom Eric Vall in 14th. And then Eric Garcia in 15th, the last of our pros. I've talked about it in previous broadcasts, how perfectly placed I believe the cut line is between the pros and the amateurs. And here at a technical track like Mid-Ohio, you really see play out as we're going to go through the last part of these, and they're all amateurs. Skip Stephen, Ludwig Sauer, Sarah Dove, Derek Holland, and Michael Wright round out your top 20, Jake.
And behind that, Jordi Fike in 21st, Max Wright 22nd, Atsushi Maeda gains 2 in 23rd, 24th for Jeroen some good drive from him today. Trip the Arrow Smith spinning on the last lap, 25th. It will be overall for him. And then you got drivers a lap down or otherwise. Joe McDonald, Jacob Toffs, Lidima, Jörg Dankert. You got Al Heaton, Mark King 2 laps down, and only one retirement today, which says all you need to know about this Mid-Ohio circuit. Jert Willemsen in the 32nd position, the 955 running into difficulties. But first and foremost, it's time to bring in a race winner. It's time to bring in the man who we thought maybe with the former Sonny Kanchan here, Eero, that you weren't going to get a race victory, but it's finally happened for you. And I think you must be a very happy man.
And let's make sure that Arrow has a copy in our new interview booth here as we've moved over with the cool suede chairs and the actual nice polished wood tables. Arrow, do you have a copy?
He doesn't have a copy just yet, so we'll just wait on him for a moment. We'll leave him for now. We'll hopefully get him back. What we'll do is that hopefully, if we get things right, we're going to bring in Sarah Dove, hopefully, for a conversation. And, well, Soup, I believe if we've got things working the way that they do, she's standing by with you.
Yeah, I believe I talked to Sarah yesterday in our new interview booth. I think she probably has this figured out. Sarah, welcome back. We just saw you yesterday in the AOR event. Today, 18th here in the MWT. Good job.
Thank you. It went quite a lot better than last night.
You had one off, and then you had some excitement in front of you. Let's talk about the mistake that you made. You were able to bring that back on the track without much issue?
Yeah, I just bumped onto the curb on the inside, and the back went round, and then almost crashed into a wall. But thankfully I didn't. And then that put me behind a few people, and there was a lot of racing going on, and then there was some people flying off, and I just managed to put some good laps in, and I got a really good pit stop, but didn't manage to get the last few guys ahead of me at the end.
What's the biggest difference you have? I mean, obviously it's open cockpit and open wheel, but between the Formula Renault, just getting into your head what I need to do differently when I'm driving the MX-5 compared to the Formula Renault 2.0?
The main thing is keep as much momentum as possible, because it's nowhere near as fast in a straight line or around a corner as the Formula Renault. So you need to keep your speed up all the time. And then one of the biggest differences is it feels like there's no grip compared to like a Formula car.
I bet. Well, it's always fun to watch a race. Good job for a top 20, and we'll hope to see you in a couple weeks as we go to the little course at Watkins Glen.
Thank you.
Let me correct myself. It is Brands Hatch is where we're going to next. Okay, we're going to try it one more time with our race winner here. Give him one more shot.
I think we are. Irunom, have you got us loud and clear?
I do.
There we go. Irunom, a very happy man. A big victory for you today over Sonny Kanchin. And arguably, you could say, a psychological advantage heading to the next rounds of the championship.
Yeah, it was a track I won the first time, I think, last year. So I was very confident there.
Well, of course, confidence is always a very inspiring thing to be dealing with. But, of course, the strategy game came into play. You were saving fuel very early on in the event, and it very much duly showed. You went right to the end of your strategy, lap 18 of the event. And not only that, you took less fuel than anybody else today.
Yeah, I was able to save fuel. I pitted 10 laps to go, so it was easier to calculate the fuel. And yeah, it was perfect. I was saving a little bit of the fuel at the end, but it was enough.
It was certainly just enough for you. And of course, after Mid-Ohio, you got yourself a welcome break with the new build coming out. And of course, Brands Hatch Indy, the next circuit, a very small circuit which has a lot of a potential to make big overtakes happen. And well, with a very much a racing circuit where it's all about just sticking with your man, having a good draft, do you feel that maybe more pretenders, more protagonists are going to be into play at this next race in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, it's a very small, short track, so it will be very close. And there's not that much draft, but still there's draft everywhere. So yeah, it will be a very difficult race.
It certainly will be. But before we let you go, Eero, any shout-outs to sponsors you'd like to give to your teams and your boys back at home?
Yeah, thank you, guys. That's all.
Thank you, guys. That's all. Well, Team Bushfink driver certainly proving that life is a very, very happy place for Irunom at this stage. But Soup, let's talk about what's going to be happening in 2 weeks' time. Let's talk about Brands Hatch Indy. The second time we've gone to Brands Hatch, running the small circuit this time. And what we see from series like the British Touring Car Championship is that small circuit packs a lot of punch when you get right down to it.
I think Irunom put it really intelligently there. The draft is everywhere, but there's not much draft. It'll keep cars together, but it's not like you're going to get these huge runs on people to make slingshots. And passing is going to be really tough. Brand Hatch is already narrow to begin with. Short track, lap traffic. Oh, you don't want to miss it.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. And well, that's going to be in 2 weeks' time. But unfortunately, that's going to be all we're going to have time for here this evening on the Global Sim Racing channel. First and foremost, we'd like to thank all of you who have been watching, all the drivers, all the teams, and we'd like to thank everyone at the Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organising this series and contracting with GSRC to come and broadcast it. Thanks also have to go to Heusinkveld. Affordable simulator software and hardware are thought to be of limited use for race teams and drivers, but the simulation solutions bring professional results within reach for any race team or driver without having to compromise on realism or engineering value. They offer a broad array of products and services such as advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware. They are able to simulate any combination of race car and track, including a full-fledged cockpit environment with unparalleled realism. Heusinkveld solutions are currently being produced by professional teams and drivers in Formula Ford, GP3, GP2 and Formula 1. I should say being used by those drivers, not necessarily being produced. But now these products are available for any professional team or driver looking for an edge in racing, so you've got to be a better race car driver and get in touch with Heusinkveld today. Thanks also go, of course, to the folks at Tidal Influence and Eagle's Nest Tavern. And on top of that, the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen now that we use on our broadcast. And of course, the original music that you've heard on today's broadcast is thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. See the screen on how to contact each of them right now.
We've talked about it, but let's remind you, Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour returns in 2 weeks. That should give the series organizers plenty of time to get all their work done. It'll be December 16th. It's going to be round 9 from the little track at Indy. GSRC will be there, and that includes Joe Peak. How about a thank you to Amjad Yaman for stepping in to direct and babysit Jake and I, keeping us in line. Tell Daddy Joe we were well behaved. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Wait a minute. No, if you'd like to find out more about GSRC, I'd like to thank you for watching too, but Jake's going to do that as well. You can do that at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel. Okay, the font has turned from blue to red. Back to Jake.
And that's my line. You can't steal my line. And finally, on behalf of the man on my right, Bill Soupzan, who was trying to steal my line, the man behind the desk, our director, I'm Jed Yarman for this one, and the man who some say lied to the FBI about what his real camera pack was, our camera guru, Dougie Beard. I'd like to thank you all for watching. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.